As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Good morning, guys. It's nice to see you. I want to talk about the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie because this case is still developing, still active, and still full of unanswered questions. We are now weeks into an investigation that authorities have treated as a likely abduction, with DNA testing, surveillance review, public awareness, and a family still waiting for answers. Should this case be moved to a no-body homicide?
From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims.
If you are new here, I'm going to walk you through the case in plain language with what is confirmed and what has changed, and what the public is still being told to look for. This is not a rumor episode. This is a full case update based on public reporting, recent interviews, and official information that has been released so far.
Thank you so much,
Who
Melanie.
is Nancy Guthrie? Nancy Guthrie is the mother of Savannah Guthrie, and while many people know the family through Savannah's public profile, today the focus is on Nancy herself. She is described in reporting as an 84-year-old woman whose absence was immediately alarming because of her health, her limited mobility, and her heart condition. According to the reporting, that limited mobility is one of the reasons investigators and family members quickly believed she likely did not simply walk away from home. The timeline starts on January 31st, 2026, when Nancy was last seen after being dropped off at home following an evening meal with family. On February 1st, when she failed to appear as expected, concern escalated quickly and relatives began checking on her. Authorities later treated the disappearance as a possible kidnapping rather than an ordinary missing person event. One of the first major developments publicly reported was blood found on the front porch, with DNA testing confirming it belonged to Nancy Guthrie. Reporting also says a glove found away from the home was analyzed, and investigators continue pressing the public for tips. Those details matter because they suggest investigators are working with both physical and digital evidence, not just with witness statements. The FBI later increased the reward for information to a whopping $100,000 and released new photos related to the investigation. After that, the family offered an amazing $1 million for information leading to the recovery of Miss Nancy Guthrie, which significantly increased the public's attention and tip volume. CNN reported that the award strategy was designed to generate more actionable information and help move the case forward. By mid-February, reporting said the family members were cleared as suspects. That shifted the public conversation away from the immediate family suspicion and back toward the question investigators still have not answered. Who took Nancy and why? Even now, no arrests have been announced and no motives have been publicly confirmed. Now let's talk about Savannah Guthrie's recent interview, because that is the emotional center of this story right now. In her first public interview since her mother vanished, Savannah described the shock and chaos of learning that her mother was missing. She also discussed what it was like to confront the reality of the situation while still trying to keep a functioning public and personal and professional life. According to reporting, Savannah said she saw footage showing a masked and armed person outside her mother's residence on the night Nancy disappeared. She also spoke about her mother's pain and limited mobility, which reinforces why the family and police took the disappearance so seriously from the very beginning. In the third part of the interview, she discussed plans to return to today and says the family still needs peace while holding on to hope. Investigators are still working through DNA, witness information, surveillance footage, and a growing stack of tips. Reuters reported earlier there was tension over evidence handling, including where forensic material was being sent for analysis. Whether or not the public understands every procedural choice, the important point is that this remains an active and unsolved case. This case is drawing so much attention because it combines a vulnerable victim, a likely abduction, a high-profile family, and a deeply emotional public response. It also has the elements that keep true crime audiences engaged: a clear timeline, visible law enforcement updates, family statements, and a reward structures that keeps the case alive in the public eye. But underneath all of that is still one simple fact: Nancy Guthrie has not been found. So that is where the case stands this morning. We have a confirmed disappearance, confirmed physical evidence, a large reward, a cleared family, and a daughter who has now spoken publicly for the first time since her mother vanished. If you have any information, the public is still being asked to come forward, and I will continue to follow every verified update as this case develops. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Please pray for those struggling in our chat and abroad. God bless. Well, good morning, my beauties. Good morning. It is so nice to see you. I am doing better this morning. I got great night's sleep last night. I went to bed ridiculously early, but that's okay. That's okay. Let's get this background changed out. It is so nice to see you. We got a few things that we are going to be talking about because I've been hearing a lot of people, speaking about related to our gas, what's going on with our gas. So obviously we know that our gas is going kind of through the roof. Hopefully it's stabilizing soon and will be coming back down almost as quickly from my understanding as it went up. You know, we're not there yet, but we're getting closer. So I decided to look at some trading and stuff like that related to Wall Street just to see if we can identify any type of relief coming. And it doesn't really appear because it's still mixed in trading. And of course, the war in the Middle East is lingering inflation worries that are tied to the energy prices, and that's kind of why our gas prices are going up. But the volatility is really what is causing the problem with this trend. You know, on Market Watch and others. I think Reuters and Market Watch is what I kind of looked at for these indicators. It's not telling me anything whether or not our gas prices are going to be coming down anytime soon. So I went over and started looking at some of the posts Trump made about Iran, and it looks like we're not planning on being here very long. It looks like we're going to be starting to wind down whatever is going on in the Middle East. It looks like we've already conquered whatever we need to conquer. We're just, you know, I guess we're trying to get them in some type of deal, and once that is rectified, then we're gone. Our prices start coming back down. So I know that this has been shocking for a lot of people. Not that I get into to market watches and stock markets or anything like that on the show, but there's been enough concern about this out there that I thought maybe I would look into it, just do a little bit of research, because I'm wondering for myself, when are we going to be able to get back out there? We will get back out there, but it's kind of keeping us a little, it's a lot, $4. Some places are almost $4.50 a gallon of gas. People are freaking out right now. So just know that I am watching this stuff. I know that this has nothing to do with true crime content creation or anything with the true crime genre, but we do news as well. We do a lot of different stuff on here. So we just want to make sure that everybody's informed. I know everybody's kind of looking and in sticker shock right now. I can tell you I'm in sticker shock a little bit, but I'm going to trust the process and pray to God that we're in a better position on the flip side of this than we were on the other side of it. So that's just kind of my hope and where we are with this. And we also have some other information that I'm not going to bring anything on screen or anything like that, but it is a kudos, moment for California. And what we're learning about is, in California, because the middle of all of this darkness, there was a major win for missing children. And the governor of California, which, I have very, very much distaste in my mouth for the governor of California. But again, I can have distaste for a lot of people and still say a job is well done. So the governor of California and the state attorney general's office announced Operation Safe Return in Riverside County. And in this sweep, 37 children were identified and located, and 7 suspects were arrested. This was a partnership between California Department of Justice and the U.S. Marshal Services, local sheriff and police departments, probation and social services, all focusing on finding the most at-risk missing children, especially those tied to trafficking and exploitation. So some of these children were, in fact, runaways. Some of them were believed to be in the hands of traffickers, and all of them were vulnerable. So here's what I want you to think about. They were able to pull this off because somebody decided these children were worth the resources. I want to repeat that again. They were able to pull this off because somebody decided these children were worth the resources. They were worth the man hours. They were worth the coordination between agencies. I hope that this continues. I hope as we start uniting our federal government with our state governments again to work as they were supposed to work. I hope more of these initiatives that they decide to start putting these resources toward the children, and I hope they continue to do so. So we talk about, open borders and about cartels on this channel. We're talking about the Nancy Guthrie case, and some people are believing this could be cartel related. So we're talking about a lot of stuff, and there is a demand for this trafficking in our country, clearly. So this operation is proof that when law enforcement is allowed to do its job, and when politicians actually back them up, you can pull kids out of hell, straight out of hell, and put them on a pathway to something better. So as a believer, we should support this kind of work 100%. Pray for these children who have been recovered, because that's not the end of their story, thank God. There's a long road ahead of them to heal. But thank God these were found. These children, these 37 children were found. And so again, just applause, when we do see these things, and we want to encourage them to continue to go on, and we want to encourage governors, even governors that I have distaste for, stand up and do better, and we'll always support anybody that stands up and does better. So thank you, California. For those that are in my chat from California, you guys got a lot to be proud of today, so kudos to you. Keep encouraging your government to keep doing stuff like that. It's stuff like that that really does move the needle. So the cartels can kiss my grits. Amen to that. Amen to that. We want the cartel out of our country. They don't belong here. We're done. We're just done. So that's kind of where we are with all of this. Now, when it comes to the Nancy Guthrie case, Nancy Guthrie, she's an 84-year-old grandmother. She's well known because she's been on the Today Show with her daughter, which is well known, Savannah Guthrie, which is a co-host of the Today Show. And, we're hearing this story, and for many of us, this story just defies logic. It doesn't make sense. No matter how much we twist and turn the story, so far, everybody that has been an expert in this case, that has provided their insight or expertise on what they think is going on. First of all, thank you for that. We don't want to criticize people to the point that nobody ever comes forward and speaks about their experience, right? And we appreciate it. And some of those experiences contradict one another. Some of those experiences, from person to person, sometimes there's two sides to every coin, right? And so maybe on this side of the coin, this particular person may think this way, but the same person may think opposite if it's on this side of the coin. So, we have a lot of different experts out there that are helping guide the public in all of this silence. Chris Nanos is the sheriff out there. He's come under massive scrutiny. This channel really is supporting the scrutiny he's under. We're supporting the people. We'll always support the people. So we're supporting the people out there in that community that are doing whatever they're doing to try to rectify a wrong. And it sounds like this sheriff of Pima County, one, was a fraud. He lied multiple times about his history with El Paso. He continued to lie in order to go up the ranks, which he was never entitled to do. Okay? So we don't reward fraudsters. We don't reward people that lie to our face to advance themselves for self-serving purposes. And it was self-serving purpose, because look at how he drives on the road. He has no care in the world about any citizen. He has no care in the world about his lackadaisy law enforcement body, and it's sad, because the good-hearted men and women that get up every day, that put their uniform on, put their gun on, put their badge on, they do that with honor. And then they find out they're led astray, that they're not properly being trained, that they're not following the proper procedure or the proper order, because nobody there knows what the hell they're doing. Why? Because they're green as crap. Why are they green as crap? Because of the environment that this horrible sheriff that should have never been hired for Pima County 40 years ago has created, the toxicity that this corrupted politician has created for that department. And it is truly, truly sad, but it would have never been uncovered had Nancy Guthrie not gone missing. I had not found a silver lining in this particular case until I heard Savannah. And I feel like, there are some silver linings here in this case, and one is faith. I think that faith is on the platter of this case, watching such strong faith coming from her daughter in such a grim and difficult time for her. I think is very admirable. I think it shows a lot to people of faith. This is, we can't argue with what is in the plans, what is in before us, what our walk is going to be, just the walk that we have and how we handle it. Some handle it better than others. I can tell you, Savannah's doing a lot better than I think I would be doing, right? And there could be some things to be had if you're listening to the Deception Detective, and I'm not dogging him at all. I love the Deception Detective. I just don't necessarily agree with some of his points. But again, I just want to point out he's a professional. I am not. He's been trained in this stuff. I have not. So I want to put that out. But even with all of that being said, I can still, lovingly disagree with people that I honor and respect. And I just don't think that the family really has, the immediate family. I don't know what we're dealing with here, but I'm just not getting the vibe that the family, sometimes I keep bouncing back and forth. Is it possible for Tommaso? Of course it's possible, and if we were to strip everything out of this case, is it possible? Yes, it's possible. And in many cases, it would be probable. But I think for this particular case, this is so far out of the pale that I just don't. I just feel like if it was somebody in the family, we would already be like Nick Rayner. We would already have an arrest. We would already, be, golly, I can't believe this happened. Shucks, sorry for the kids. Type of things like we did with the Rayner family when Bob and his wife were murdered, and come to find out it was from their son Nick, Hollywood elites. And that was really hard, even though I really didn't care for the Rayner family, so to speak, because some of the statements that they have made, that was derogatory toward me and people like me. But it didn't change the fact that they have a right, and they're entitled to have their opinion just like I am. And it doesn't give anybody the right to hurt them, even though they weren't hurt because of their opinions. We covered the case as gingerly and as well as we can. The Corvette con man. There you go. YouTubers got it. Great job. Great job. I just feel like, Nick had some serious problems. There was evidence that he could potentially be this monster, right? There's plenty of evidence of that. We've got no evidence of that for anybody in the immediate family of Nancy Guthrie. It sounded like they had a really good family. It sounded like outside of, Savannah having this very, very, prestigious job, that they had a very normal, customary family in the United States. They all got along somewhat. I'm sure there was some, inner family turmoil. Everybody has it. So this illusion that, oh my God, they got into a fight, it happens in every family. Tell me who you ain't arguing with in your family. Raise your hand, okay? Raise your hand. Who are you not arguing with in your family, right? Everybody's got somebody, that in their family that they have small disagreements, sometimes big disagreements, as your family's aging, they may even have Annie may have even gotten into arguments with her sister and brother. Like, guys, I'm here working my ass off to try to take care of mom. I need some help. I can't be living 20 minutes away and expecting me to come over every single day, and maybe they got together and said, well, you know what, let's see if mom's willing to move in with you. And it's like, I got young kids here, this is not going to work. I mean, is there some other thing? Well, let's see about keeping mom in her home. And next thing you know, sis is moving closer to mom to keep mom in her home longer, So it's just that you see these things going on in their family and they look so normal, with families trying to figure out how to make do with what they've got. So long story short, I see these changes. I've seen these changes. I've experienced these. My grandfather had to live with my mom, and I remember the heartbreak my mom felt when she was going through a divorce. She had 2 kids. I was out of control. But she had 2 children. She's going through a divorce from my dad. Her father's falling ill. He's got cancer. He's on a catheter. She doesn't want her father going to a nursing home, and so she kept him and tried to deal with taking care and still going and working 2 jobs to put food over our food on our table and a roof over our head. My mom did whatever she had to do what she had to do, but at a certain point, she could no longer do that, and she was getting no help from her other 2 sisters. Not that they weren't. I don't want to disrespect or cause any family drama on here. So I don't know what the situation was. If it was financial, they just couldn't help, or if it was, if I recall correctly, I think both, like my aunt, she didn't have the room. The house she had was more dilapidated. My other aunt, I think she had already given her house to her daughter and was already remarrying and out of state or something like that. There was other dynamics there. So I want to make sure I'm fair. I don't want anybody thinking it wasn't like not a hammer or dogging on my aunts or anything like that, but just that we understood. I just remember my grandfather coming and living with us. And so I wanted to express that. And I remember my mom crying when she just couldn't handle all of it anymore. And she finally had to make the very tough decision to send him to a nursing home. And I know that even still to this day, she knows she's not Superwoman, but I know she beats herself up for that. She wanted to be Superwoman. She wanted to take care of her father. She wanted to do everything that daughters are supposed to do, but her life was it was shattering around her, and she did the absolute best that she could. And so I know how hard those decisions are, especially trying to keep family in their home as long as possible. And so I saw these things, so I didn't look too much past it. Everybody in my family, when we were fighting, with my, trying to figure out where my grandfather needed to be, there was no money. We didn't have, nobody had money. Nobody had the money needed to take care of an additional mouth or additional person back in those days, but you did. And I can guarantee that they would have never tried to hurt my grandfather for the life insurance proceeds. It just seems everybody just worked together. Was it heated at times? I'm sure it was. I'm sure that the siblings, my mom, and I didn't hear it, I didn't know about it, but I'm absolutely positive that there were disagreements on caring for my grandfather. I'm sure there was a lot of disagreements that we did not know about or hear about when it came to that. There is a woman on a TLC show who sells jars of her toots. Gas prices. What is normal? Oh my God. If you don't have gas for the tank, at least you can buy a glass tank of some methane. Are you serious? Who has enough gas in their body to fill jars? I'm just wondering. I don't know how often you guys are gassy. I'm not gassy. So I'm just like wondering, occasionally I'll burp, but I'm not gassy. I don't walk around go Is that what I'm Is that what I'm understanding? Am I understanding that right? Oh my God. That is too much. That is too much. You know what? Hey, I'm a capitalist, okay? To each their own. To each their own. God bless you. Now, if you can seriously get $50 a jar, I always want to say, hail to the queen. Hail to the queen. What are toots? They're. You don't know what a toot is? Everybody knows what a toot is. Larry's like, this is so stupid. The doc says Raisin Bran works, and maybe that's the problem. I don't eat Raisin Bran. Oh, good gracious. gracious. I got leaky balls this morning. We haven't even started the show yet. Oh, good gracious. Do I have a fart? I know I got a fart. Did I keep the fart? Did I let the fart go? I did. I got the fart. I kept the fart. That's a toot. Toot. Lots of beans. $50 a jar, baby. $50 a jar. I'm in the wrong business. I'm just letting you know. I'm entirely in the wrong business. If all I got to do is back the girl up on a few ugly How did this channel go so dark all at once? How did it go dark all at once? What the hell is going on here? Oh, good gracious. Oh my gosh. You can't take Betty nowhere. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys. Enough. I don't think this is good for the cheeks. You guys know I'm aging beautifully, right? I'm aging. I'm not doing Botox. I'm not doing anything. When the wrinkles come, God help us, the wrinkles are just gonna come, right? So I try not to put stuff on my eyes or anything like that. But I gotta tell you, you guys are giving me leaky balls. From toots to leaky balls. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Show. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Show. Where is it? There we go. Oh, good gracious, what we hear on this show. Happy Friday. Oh, and it's Good Friday, and we're all going to HE double hockey sticks. I'm just letting you guys know we're all going. All right, it's the Mexican food that did it. Okay, we got to get off. We got to get back on track. Oh, we got to get back on track. So why did Nancy disappear? Why has her disappearance turned into both a criminal probe and a media spectacle? And I think that right there is really our bipolarness of this case, because this case, is not an average missing person case. There's so many different layers to this case of Nancy Guthrie, from her daughter being well known and famous, to her really having no protection out there in Arizona, where she's lived for decades. This mom and this grandmother has lived her life of gratitude. She comes from humble beginnings. She's went through a lot of heartbreak with losing her husband at a very young age of a whopping 49 years old. She had 3 children. She was still raising 2 of them. And she still had a lot of struggles that she had to go, including finding a job and putting food on the table for her family, which her husband had always done. So she ended up making a career out of some of the stuff she did from back then, and that's what sustained her this time. And of course, her children going off. Her son was a well-known and they were very proud of him being a fighter pilot. And he went off and married a woman and put his roots down in Vermont, where he's had 2 children, from my understanding, 2 girls. I could be wrong about that, but that's my understanding. And then, of course, Savannah Guthrie went off and she started out, she became an attorney, and then she started working for KVOA, which is her, flagship, I guess, her humble beginnings, so to speak. She worked for the small news station in Tucson, and then she was ultimately picked up for the Today Show, where she got this lucrative contract. And, she ended up meeting a very wealthy man, yada, yada, yada. She's living a life that many of us only aspire to live. And then, of course, you have Annie, which is a very, again, hippie, spiritual, salt of the earth person. And everything that she kind of described Annie as is everything I've described Annie as, based upon everything that I've found out about Annie and Tommaso, for that matter. And I know it's easy, because when we come into these cases, we know nobody, right? So it's easy to look at somebody and say, oh, they could do something. But we also know in our own family, I have two big guys in my family, huge guys. One is a Mexican wrestler, and one is not. One is I won't go into it, but I got two huge guys in my family, and they can both look really mean if they wanted to, right? Look. But they are huge teddy bears, would never hurt a fly, and I would worry about their wives before I worried about them, okay? Just everything, just throwing it out there, right? And so we know that they would never hurt a fly, but say something did happen in our family, and you looked at these two guys, you're like, yeah, they did it, right? And so that is the difference. So that's how you know, we're out here looking in and we're making these things connect when they're not really connecting. For example, the family knows Tommaso is a teddy bear and would never hurt a fly. You know, we don't know what kind of guy he is. He could be a crier, right? Like he could be like a Betty, step on a snail, and next thing you know, you got a full face full of tears because you just killed a creature, you know? And that's how I am. Trust me. I know you guys don't. You guys see me take on the man, right? And then I step on a snail and I've got a face full of tears. It's hard to believe that. I know. Like I said, I have a reputation to uphold. Not everything you see on TV is true, okay? So, you know, we don't know what kind of guy he is, but what I can tell you is the only thing I could see in their history, and everybody's saying all these financial problems and stuff like that, folks, it's very hard to purchase a house with financial problems, okay? And we know that they just purchased a house a year before. So I'm just having, and not only that, but closing on a house, especially that, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars having to be ponied up. It's just so hard for me to believe, you know, and I hear what people are saying, and I don't want to just, you know, because I don't know, and I don't want to call anybody a liar. I don't know. You know, I don't know if they're having financial problems. I don't know if he's a gambler. And somebody said, well, there was a neighbor on a Dad Gone Live. We don't know what his motivation in going, and how would he know? You know, how would this neighbor know if they just moved in a year ago? Yet we have no idea if this neighbor is just angry with the people because they didn't do something, or, you know, wanting his 15 minutes of fame, or, you know, just they just rubbed him the wrong way, you know, one time, you know, something like that. So I'm just saying we got to be careful what we hear about in this case. And we're going to be getting through some of Nancy Grace's updates on this because she's going back to the Bitcoin. And I kind of follow all of these talking heads because somebody's giving them information, okay? And it seems very funny that a lot of these news organizations like Fox and NBC and, you know, News Nation are getting similar reports at the same time. So obviously, somebody behind the scenes is talking to media. That's the way I'm looking at it. And I think it's totally unfair that they are blocking out, you know, the rest of media. I just think that is just, anyways, whatever. Somebody's talking. Somebody's flapping gums. Somebody's flapping gums on what's going on. So now we've got a situation that we were talking about the Bitcoin, the ransom notes that many of us didn't really believe were true or accurate or, you know, really compelling. But we did not realize that the family received 2 of the ransom notes. What did they say? We don't know. But it kind of makes sense now that something must have been attached to the ransom notes. I'm sorry. That's the only thing I can think of, is something had to have been attached to the ransom notes that were observed by the family. And the reason why I say this is because in the first video, Savannah makes reference to voices and pictures can be basically, not verbatim, I don't know what she said verbatim, but can be manipulated and not real. So they wanted to make sure that those were real. Yes, the card, everybody says the adult protective services was before. It was not. And that had been clarified. I don't know who keeps circulating that again, But that was like literally day 2 or day 3 that was rectified by Brian Enton because their news crews caught the lady walking up and putting the card there. So it was without a doubt after the facts. Everybody's trying to say, oh, it was before the facts. The family was hurting her and the neighbors knew it. No, they didn't. I don't know who's pulling this crap out. And let me tell you something, content creators. If you guys hear some horse shit like that, please send it to me. Because I'm going to, like I said, we've got to start policing ourselves. And I want to find out what content creators, I don't care if they're on TikTok, I don't care where they are. If they're going to be passing around this horse shit without any type of evidence of it, I want to start calling them out on a very public platform. We're going to start slinging some mud at some of these people that are passing around this nonsense. And I keep hearing this, and it's like, I keep saying, and I try to stay away from it because it first of all, it has no significance in this case. Period. None. And people are trying to make it make significance so they can get a click or a view. I don't really give a crap about a click or a view. I care about the reality of the case. I care about finding out what happened in the case. And I at the end of the day, I don't even care about any of that. I care about the bad guy. I care about the victim getting justice and the bad guy going away. That's really all I give a shit about. At the end of the day, that's all I care about. You know, this whole thing that we do is the dance to get there. That's it. But at the end of the day, I just want the bad guy. I want to make sure that the bad guy's behind bars. I don't want him being able to hurt my family. I don't want him or her being able to hurt me. I don't want him or her being able to hurt you. That at the end of the day, even the details of the case, yeah, I mean, they're important when we're in a case like this. But at the end of the day, my only objective is justice and injustice, right? Getting the bad guy behind bars and bringing the missing person home. Or the deceased person some justice. That's really all it comes down to. So coming up with all this stuff and this, oh, did you look at this and did you look at that? Yeah, we have to get creative with some titles and stuff like that. But making up details and passing these around as fact when they couldn't be further from the truth. And I can't tell you how many times Brian Enton has told the public he was there when the lady walked up. How could this possibly be misconstrued as happening before? Brian Enton wasn't sitting out in front of Nancy Guthrie's house before she disappeared. Folks, bet he could be an auctioneer. You bet he could be an auctioneer. Oh, good gracious. Oh, good gracious. No. So anyways, the timeline, as many of you guys know, we do have a timeline here, and it is showing that Miss Nancy Guthrie left her home about 5:32 in an Uber. Now, they do have the Uber video. A lot of people are questioning, why didn't they just come pick her up? We don't know why they didn't come pick her up, but if you ask me, is it uncommon for a grandma to get in a freaking Uber and go over to her daughter's house? It happens by millions of people every day all over this world, okay? Nothing shocking. Okay, we don't need to turn every little thing into a freaking mountain. Okay, she got into an Uber and went over to her daughter's house. I've gotten in an Uber and went over to somebody's house. Why? Because I didn't feel like driving. Why? I don't know. Maybe a wild hair got up my butt. I don't know. But this being unusual, this is not unusual. Okay, Grandma got in a car and went over to her daughter's house in an Uber. So what? Okay. Thank God they didn't send her home in an Uber late at night, right? So somebody in the family said, no, we're not going to have you send an Uber. I'm right here. I'm going to take you home. I'll take you home. And Tommaso decides to load up his mother-in-law like a good son-in-law. Like if this was any other family, would we really be bitching about a son-in-law taking their mother-in-law home? Of course not. Still not unusual behavior. Well, did he walk in? Why would he walk her in the house? If we say he didn't walk her in the house, you would be complaining that why didn't he walk her in the house? We tell you he walked her in the house and everybody's like, well, why did he walk her in? She's feeble. She's elderly. She has mobility issues. It sounds to me like he probably helped her up those steps to get her in the house safely. Because I'm telling you, if I had a son-in-law, by God, he better help me if I'm 84 years old and have mobility issues. I don't know where you're coming from. But at the end of the day, she did disappear after he dropped her off. And if we would have left it to Chris Nanos of Pima County Sheriff's Department or his team, they would be treating this like this lady just up and walked out of the house. That's how they would have treated this. That's what they decided because they have no freaking experience. Anyways, we're not going to get into that right now. But at the end of the day, that was their theory. Nobody was going to change their theory. That's why the family had to argue with them and tell them, my mother would not walk out. She can't walk. How is she going to wander off? She wouldn't even make it to the freaking driveway. We should find her right here. If she decided she wanted to walk out of the house, she would be right here. She can't go any further. And so they were arguing, from my understanding, with the sheriff saying our mom's would never walk away. She doesn't have dementia. So they're actually arguing, folks. So out of all the things that we've been hearing about, it's all been true. It's all been true. Why is Chris Nanos not taking interviews? I think because he doesn't want to answer these questions. He dropped the ball. They botched this case. And I think it's because they botched this case at the beginning, it has caused all of this. It has caused every bit of this. And I'm not alone in that. And we've been saying that from the beginning because we tell, and we are very accurate on this point, the first 48 make a difference. It is very, very important. The first 48 make or break a case, and they fumbled the ball the entire time. And then they wanted to have a pissing contest with the frickin' feds. If it wasn't for the feds, we wouldn't even know there was a masked man outside of that door. Folks. Larry, I think so. Listen, this is what I think about the cover-up, though. I think there is a cover-up, but not in the sense that you think it is. I think that the cover-up, in my opinion, again, this is just, speculative. This is not factual. I want to make sure that you guys know that. This is just an opinion. But the cover-up to me is not like the cover-up like they know somebody did this and they're trying to cover their ass, right? I think the cover-up is they did such a lousy job that they're trying to cover up what they've done. They had PI searching yesterday. Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So there was do you know if the PI was like a internet PI or was it a PI for the family? Because I can tell you there's a lot of internet PIs that I just, no. I feel bad for the family. I do too. But I really think that is more in line with what we're dealing with here is they fouled the case up so much. And I'm listening to the experts, the people that do these investigations, and I'm really listening and getting and just hearing why, and it comes down to the fact that we don't have a pristine crime scene because of their initial assessment of this house, okay, with this lady just wandering off, which was the inspiration of, do we have a serial killer targeting elderly women? Which, I'm still not off that theory. I mean, very, very low probability of that theory ever, coming forward, but it's still a theory that we have not looked into, and I think we should. I really do. I think we should be looking into that aspect because how many times have we heard many people say this person just got up and walked off, just got up and walked off, just got up and walked off. And they would have literally been saying this about Miss Nancy Guthrie. They would have been saying this about Nancy. Don't tell me that. Yeah, not fish sticks. That's a laugh. That's a joke and a half. I call him a UPI, unscrupulous PI. Worse than a UTI. I'm just saying. So anyways, but we've got Nancy, going to her family's house. They brought her home, 2 minutes. I told you guys that 2 minutes was a long time, didn't I? Now we know why. Because son-in-law walked her in the house, made sure she got in okay, made sure she was situated, and then left. And I called that out very, very quickly. When we first got this timeline, I'm like 9:48 to 9:50, she arrives there, her garage goes up, and it takes 2 minutes to go down. I called that out at the very beginning. I'm like, that's too long. And everybody's like, no. I'm like, put a timer on. I said, you shuffle from one end of the garage to the other. I said, it'd take you 30 seconds as an elder taking a step. It would take you 30 seconds from one side. I mean, you're talking about 20 feet. So, I mean, you're talking about more than a second per step. I mean, that's a lot. So 2 minutes, I mean, I look at these things. It was a PI from Florida who came out to help search. Oh, well, that's nice. Anybody that goes out and helps, I'm down for it. Even if it's somebody I don't really care for, if they're there with the right heart and the right motivation, then I'm one of those things, come one, come all. It's not about me. I can check my BS at the door and, save it. As long as everybody's there for the right reason and unifying to search and stuff, I'm down like 4 flat tires. You'll find that out about me real quick. I can put my BS in check real quick and just do the job. But it's upsetting that somebody from Florida, because I always recommend somebody from the general area doing this kind of work. It's a lot cheaper. But if it sounds like the PI, if the PI came from Florida, it sounds like they're not a hired PI though. It sounds like they're just a PI with expertise. That's you're probably doing this on their own or pro bono, not at the direction of the family. Just my opinion. But again, they go home. The garage closes at 9:50. For all intents and purposes, everything up to this point to 9:50 appears to be normal. Okay, and this is where the story should end. She went to bed. She gets up the next morning and goes to church. Right. The problem is the next morning she doesn't go to church. Now, we did learn she didn't physically go to her church anymore. Ever since COVID was about, her and a few ladies from her church decided to just get together at their home and watch church online together and worship together. And so when she didn't go to the group, when she didn't show up for the group like she always does, it triggered them to be concerned, and I'm absolutely confident that they called her. I'm absolutely, if you don't expect somebody to show up and they don't come, you're not going to immediately call their family. You're going to immediately call them to find out where they are. And then when they don't answer their home phone, you're going to wait a few more minutes to see if they show up, unless they have a cell phone. But you may know that their behavior is when they're driving or coming over, they're not going to use their cell phone. So they probably waited for the person to get there a few more minutes, thinking they were just running late. And then after a few more minutes, they probably said something's not right. They started getting that uneasy feeling and then reached out. I mean, because, when I try to process how things go, I try to process under what have I seen in the past? Do I have an experience where somebody didn't show up for something? My sister, for example, she didn't show up home when she was supposed to. Sorry, my hair is being blown in my face. She didn't show up at home when she should have. So what did my mom do? My mom, obviously called. Back in our day, we didn't have cell phones, so there was no calling. Oh, golly, wind. I turned the air conditioning off just at 78. It's still blowing my hair there. I don't like that. There, it looks good. Okay. And so I look at what did we do? And I remember my mom tried to back then we had pagers, page my sister. There was other things that they did, call friends' houses first to see if there was my sister there. I don't anticipate her friends doing that, but I anticipate very quickly, within 10 or 15 minutes of her not arriving to their house, they probably did reach out to the family. And so if she was supposed to be there at 11, I'd have to think by 11:10 or 11:15, they were reaching out to the family saying something is not right. And then the family went over there a little closer to noon. What was the delay? I don't know what the delay was. What time was she supposed to be at her friend's house? That was never really discussed. We heard she was supposed to be at her friend's house by 11. It could be in 10:30. We don't know what time church starts. So either way you look at it, by about noon, the family went over to the house and the house was empty. And then, of course, during the investigation, we found out that a camera went offline at 1:47. We had a motion detector at 2:12, and we got to see the monster in that motion detector. And that monster was pretty stinking scary. And then we learned that at 2:28, Miss Guthrie's pacemaker disconnected from her Apple Watch that was left behind in her house. So this is the time that law enforcement believes she was forced out of the home. We don't know what kind of condition she was in that home, because that dude's backpack was pretty full and it had something in it. It had something in it. Was that something in it to be able to hurt her without leaving a trace? It's possible. We don't know what happened, and we don't know how she was taken out. Did she walk out or was she wheeled out? Those things make a big difference. But again, we're seeing what we're seeing, and we're trying to piecemeal all of this together. When Savannah Guthrie just spoke for the first time, and people are like, oh, she spoke before. Listen, I don't care. Like, I don't know what, first of all, I don't know why people think they can speak to another human being like that when we're having a discussion. But we're talking about really sitting down for an interview. She has never sat down for an interview since her mother disappeared. This is the first time we got an insight into what was going on behind the scenes. So yes, it was her first real address to the world about what happened to her mom since her mom was abducted. So that's why I say the first time she spoke since her mom was abducted. Yeah, she's spoken, but she wasn't speaking to us. She was very rarely speaking to us, and she wasn't telling us anything. The only thing she spoke to us about in those first few days was to pray. Everything else was talking to the alleged abductor of their mom. But again, one of the biggest problems with this alleged abductor is that this whole thing we watched be planned very, very well by these knuckleheads. And I'm going to call them knuckleheads because I think they're knuckleheads. But it was very well planned. The whole thing, when they were going to get her, how they were going to take her out, wearing enough clothing to keep down DNA and contamination of the scene, leaving your DNA behind. They took extra precaution there. So they took they planned all of this. And you're telling me that this abduction for ransom is the only thing they failed to plan for? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And just like I don't believe they went into that house for a robbery. I don't believe any of it. I don't believe the robbery. I don't believe the ransom. And I understand that maybe the feds or even Savannah herself believes that 2 of those ransom letters could potentially be legitimate. It doesn't make them legitimate. And again, it came so far after the abduction that it shows ill planning, which I don't believe, because these people planned this out so well that they barely left DNA behind and barely left a crime scene. And you're going to tell me that knuckleheads that planned that well didn't plan the other part of this that well? I call bullshit. I call bullshit.
Bullshit detected. Take precautions.
So why didn't we get a ransom note until after somebody brought up this is most likely a ransom with no ransom note? That's the first I heard this is probably a ransom, and it was after somebody started talking about the ransom publicly did we start getting ransom notes publicly. And then we find out that in fact no ransom note was received that first day or that second day. And that's right there doesn't bode with the type of planning this assailant or these assailants did to extract her. It's almost as if the world is trying to convince us that they did this huge, massive planning to get into that house, and then after that, nothing else. I don't see that being valid. So then we have the FBI reward, the new photo footage, the DNA. We believe there's going to be some genealogy work going on. The ongoing tip line that's still receiving some tips from my understanding. We've had investigative criticism with Chris Nanos and his staff, the alleged lack of homicide experience, evidence handling questions, and public scrutiny of their entire force. No confidence vote from at least 300 police officers or sheriff deputies that are under Mr. Nanos, Sheriff Nanos. what's circulating online. We even have a lot of people here that have talked about some of the misinformation that they've heard that's been spread. What can't be verified? What can't be verified? There's a lot of these things that I've been hearing that can't be verified. The family theory, the stalking burglary theory, the opportunistic abduction, the botched crime theory. We have 4 theories that are going on right now in the case. And we're pressuring the investigation. And we're finding out some of the original speculation is backfired and has backfired. We've seen it publicly for Ashley Banfield. And one of the reasons why I'm not, because I feel like I'm beating up on Ashley Banfield, and she's kind of new to this true crime genre, and she's a big girl. I mean, it's not like she's not a big girl. It's just some of the stuff I find comical that she does, and I feel like I overly pick on her a little bit, and I don't want to do that because I hated it when people did that to me. So I figured we'd pull a few clips from different stations to go over today for talking purposes, so we can leave Ashley Banfield and her deflowered pots alone for a little while, but those funny things kind of die down a little bit. I'm never going to get off of it. It was a hilarious skit. I mean, I didn't mean to make fun of her. I feel kind of bad, but she was so damn angry about the damn flower pots. It was comical. It was freaking comical how angry she was. And it was just the way she talked. Like, we're not getting into it. We're not going to go. I'll be on another rampage for another hour and a half. But either way, we've got Miss Nancy Grace coming up. She's going to be talking about the Bitcoin, the ransom notes. Are they real? Are they not real? Look, guys, I don't know. I'm not believing the whole ransom thing. And I think I've explained myself why I don't believe it. But just because I don't believe it doesn't make it true. Just like I didn't believe she was alive when she walked out of her house or they forced her out of the house. I could be wrong about that. It looks more and more like I might be wrong about that. So just because I have an opinion doesn't make my opinion right. I've got several different running opinions all the time. So some of those are replaced with other opinions and theories like that, depending on what new details come forward. I still haven't logically explained why all the back doors and the gates were left open with the flower pots, except that maybe he was moving about outside of her home freely before he ever even went inside the home, and he was just going back and forth trying to diligently and quietly, get stuff knocked down so there was not a whole lot of light and videos of what he was doing. But there was a camera, it looks like, potentially on the top roof of the guest house. So anything that he did in the back, they most likely know exactly what his movements were and why he was back there. We don't know, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be somebody leaking from their secret source what they've got on the film soon enough. There are people with loose lips. That's all I'm saying. So what we're looking at now and waiting for now is lab results, tip line developments, possible law enforcement statements. That's really all we are looking for now. So let's go ahead and move on in to our, there we go. Let me pull it up. Sorry, I didn't have it prepared. There we go. Miss Nancy Grace. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see what she has, and then we'll have to move through this. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I know we've already been here for over an hour, and we still got some major stuff to talk about related to what Brian Enton, which Brian Enton is boots on the ground out there right now, and what he's reporting from some people that are speaking to him under strict anonymity. Thank you, whoever you are that's anonymous. I hope more of you guys step forward and talk, because this is the only way we're going to learn what you guys have been going through. So I hope more come up. I hope more people are willing to talk with either news or other people out there that can maintain their anonymous identity.
Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie, missing day 61. Tonight, are the feds closing in on blockchain analysis of the Bitcoin demand? That's right. The ransom notes, 2 of them, Savannah Guthrie believes are, quote, real, Is that the highest and best evidence leading police to Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper? And tonight we learn evidence in the garage. Was it totally missed by nanos?
Which it very well could be, because when we looked in that garage, we saw a broom knocked over. We saw a can rolled out. We saw investigators paying very close attention to the garbage can, which is very interesting, seeing how we saw that there were some roll marks, and we don't know what those mean, if they mean anything. What did I see? I see everybody putting hands up for Candy. Candy, is there's something going on? Pray for me today. I need prayers. I have storm anxiety since my stroke. Oh, good gracious. Yes, well, we definitely pray for you. There was a horrific storm that came through here. Like a Delilah jumped, almost hit the roof when thunder started crashing. But she calmed down. So we would definitely pray for you. Do you have any earplugs or anything that can help with the sound or the noise, or, the crackling and the popping? Hopefully it does, but prayers for you. Did Nancy have dirt on someone? Political. Nanos had a deputy unalived under an investigation of FBI alleged self-harm. Not investigated properly. If you have something on this this deputy that lost his life under Nano's tenure, I would like to know who that is. If you have any articles on that, send those to me. If anybody comes across any articles like that, send that to me. Bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Bullhorn, BULLHORNBETTY@gmail.com. I'd like to research that. I know I have, and somebody may have sent it to me. I have a freaking huge file on nanos that somebody has been sending to me, and I stepped away from it for a little bit, but I need to go back and review that. Maybe there's something in there that I just overlooked. I was trying to read it, but I do so much research, and this case is still going on with a lot of twists and turns in this case daily. So I'm constantly got my nose into this case, and it's been very difficult to try to come up for air, but I need to come up and start looking at that nano stuff. There's a lot of stuff there. I mean, a lot. I got a lot of stuff. So I might just end up doing a show here, and we're just going to have to sit here and go through it together and see what comes out of all of it. Because that's, to be honest with you, that's probably the only time I'm going to have time to go through this stuff is live with you guys. Make it a show and get through as much of it as possible. Maybe that's what we need to do. But I would like to get some information on that, Lisa, if possible. Betty, remember that video of that guy that was caught on camera with the two backpacks trying to open that gate? It just makes me wonder if he's connected somehow. Just a thought. No, I mean, do the bad guys probably know each other? Two different sets of bad guys? Yeah, but this was so far away from what was happening at Nancy's at the same time. Like, these were simultaneously happening. For example, the person that was at that gate throwing those two backpacks, or had the two backpacks, that was happening at the same time that this assailant, this masked gunman, was trying to get into Nancy Guthrie's house. And it's 5 minutes away. And if you know anything about travel, especially in city limits, it's more like 10 minutes. 5 miles equates to about two minutes a mile. So you're about 10 minutes away. So that's way incredibly too far, in my opinion, away from the scene, with both of these things happening simultaneously. And so for that philosophy, I don't think they're connected. Is it potential that they may know each other? I mean, creepers. Yeah, I would think creepers know each other. They know who their competition is. I would think. I mean, if that's their business, if business is robbery, think of it like this, no matter whether it's criminal activity or not, if whatever business you're in, you're usually good at your job, right? So if you're a burglar, a nighttime burglar, you're probably really good, and you do this all the time. You're probably pretty good at your job. Okay. Now, is your job illegal? It sure is. Is it going to give him a lot of time if he's ever caught? Of course it is. But again, you're still good at your job. And people that are good at their job also know who their competition is and keep an eye on their competition as well, because they don't want to be hitting the same place that their competition is hitting. That could cause pretty big problems. So I think that creepers and people that move around at night know other people that move around at night. You know, whether they specifically know each other, I mean, that's up for speculation, of course, but I can tell you with her back problems, I can sympathize. I have the same, mine, you know, even though I'm young, I've got massive back problems, especially my lower back. It's really bad, but I do what I do, you know, I do what I do. So, it's not so bad that I'm not mobile. I can't walk. I can't get out there and search and stuff. It just means that when I have long days of walking and searching, I usually drown it with a handful of ibuprofen or Aleve, you know, and I'm talking about a handful, like 5. Not your normal 2. I usually take about, you know, between 3 and 5, depending on the level of pain.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
I like her intro. I do like her intro. Okay.
Her part, you would see something would be knocked over probably. So yeah, that's very surprising to hear that it was immaculate inside.
Not what you would expect in a kidnapping scene, right? We learn that 2 of the multiple ransom notes and all of the bizarre communications may be real.
The 2 notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real.
That from our friends at Today on YouTube. Savannah tells us that she believes 2 of the ransom notes were real. Now, what was in the ransom notes?
We received an alleged ransom note that we forwarded on to the authorities, to the sheriff's department. The FBI called us a few hours later, had a bunch of questions about that note. There are deadlines, I say plural, deadlines in this letter, and one is looming.
Right. If this isn't indeed a legit letter.
This man sent us an email saying that he will reveal the name if he gets 1 Bitcoin. We checked the account all day. He did not receive anything. The account is bare.
That's our friend Harvey Levin over at TMZ. If you will recall, at least 2 notes, ransom notes, went directly to TMZ and 2 other local TV outlets, straight out to a special guest, George.
I'm hoping that they're not thinking those 2, because they're talking about the ones that went to these news organizations as the real ones. Then I absolutely don't believe it. I believe that's wishful thinking on Savannah Guthrie's part. If those are the 2 that they're talking about as being real, you know, the ones that they've received, if they never received them from the guy and they're receiving them from these news organizations and TMZ, then I don't believe them. I'm not going to believe them. No matter how much Nancy Grace, no matter how much Savannah Guthrie, no matter how much law enforcement wants me to believe that those are real, I'm not going to believe that they're real, because they don't bode with what people would do. They would be more likely to send those ransom notes to the family or to her Today show. They wouldn't be sending them to flipping TMZ. Who the hell would send them to TMZ? So, Giggle Glimmer. Sorry. I'm like, Giggle Glimmer, what is this later? Because I'm a love machine. Sonia gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty gifted memberships. Thank you, Miss Sonia. We appreciate you. God bless you. And those went to Giggle Glimmer, Beach Bum, Nicola Good. It's nice to see you. Ashton Lee and Carol Meyer. It's nice to see you. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. The insane asylum. Grab your straitjacket and your padded room and welcome aboard. It's nice to see you. Adam, good morning. Good morning. It's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. Dan, Jean, Candy, good morning. Caddy, it's nice to see you. Jackie, Army Vet, good morning. Good morning. Danielle, Veronica B, Laura, I missed you all. Oh, thank you, Jean. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Who else do we have? I think I got everybody. Humphrey, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Arizona Raven, I don't think I said hi to you. So hopefully I said hi to everybody that's came in since then. Good morning. Good morning. So this is Nancy Grace. She's talking about the ransom notes. This is one of those areas that we didn't really, we've talked about the ransom notes, but in all fairness, my statement is I've never believed the ransom notes. And then, of course, Savannah came out and did the Today Show, the 3-part or 4-part if you do the extended cut, of what happened, from her viewpoint, what transpired with learning of her mother's disappearance and the stuff that's happened since. And she kind of gave some weight to at least 2 of the ransom notes received. And, she basically stated that the ones that they saw, that they received. And it sounded like the assailant sent it to them. But we know that law enforcement brought a couple of the letters that were sent to these news organizations. We heard them say that they showed Savannah these letters. So if the letters never went to the family and the letters never went to her Today Show and they came days after the abduction, I don't believe them. Okay? I'm sorry. I believe that if Savannah truly believes that the ransom notes are legitimate or law enforcement thinks that they're legitimate, I don't. They're going to have to prove to me that they are, prove to the world that they're legitimate, because I don't believe it. That defies, even the way that they said everything transpired to get those ransom notes, defies the structure of ransom. Thank you, because I'm a love machine. Veronica gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. Miss Potato gifted a 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships, because I'm a love machine. Let me get to the Veronica. Humphrey Bear, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Don't forget to tell Veronica, thank you. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. And Miss Potato, thank you so much. Bless you. She gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. Jackie Goodson. Army Vet is official. Genevieve, it's nice to see you. None ya business. Hello. Welcome. And who, hold on. Oh, wait, it popped up on me. And Mystic Blue, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. And Melanie gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. And Aaliyah, welcome. Because I'm a love machine. So Aaliyah, welcome to this crazy family called the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard, guys. Welcome aboard. We got some new family members. While everybody else has the army, we got the Insane Asylum. We gonna whip that army down. I'm just saying, because we cray for the truth. We cray for the truth. All right, let's get back to Miss Old Nancy. Let's see what she has to say about these ransom notes that Savannah believes at least 2 are real. I'm not convinced, folks. It's hard. It's just hard for my brain to, and this is a block of me. This might be my own bias in the case, and it might be detrimental to the case because of this bias I have, because I just can't, for the life of me, get on board with the ransom notes. I don't know why I can't. I'm so opposed that this is a ransom that my body, mind, and soul is rejecting it, okay? It's not me. It's everything else that makes me up that's rejecting it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, not playing.
Joining us, Ari Redboard. He is the Global Head of Policy and Government Affairs at TRM Labs. It's the blockchain intelligence company. former Assistant U.S. Attorney in D.C., former Senior Advisor to the Undersecretary of Terrorism and Financial Intelligence.
He looks so serious. I love the blue frame glasses, but he looks so serious. He looks so serious. Oh, good gracious. He looks serious. Oh, Beach Bum. PI is Nico Tuscani. YouTube, we are the we love that. We are the essentials. We like the we are essentials. Thank you for clarifying that for us. Thank you for clarifying that for us. We definitely are. We are the essentials. We're definitely pro them. We love people that do stuff for the right reasons. I've heard nothing but good things about them. So I'm just gonna say kudos. I'm glad to hear that. If that is true, then I'm glad to hear it. That makes sense because I'm pretty sure they're from Florida, which is where I'm from. Veronica says, welcome. Come on in and enjoy. Be prepared to keep your arms and hands inside the car. That's what I'm talking about. Keep your hands and arms inside the tram when we are moving. We are always moving. We are always moving. American Dream, it's nice to see you. If Savannah thought they were real, why didn't she pay? Good question. I think that the reason, this is just my opinion. This is my opinion. Okay, I don't know. I'm speculating, wildly speculating. Okay, but I think it's because they didn't give her proof of life or proof of anything. Even death. I don't think they gave her proof of anything, because basically she said we're willing to pay dead or alive. So she just wanted a proof of a real body, a real person, like her mom either breathing or her mom like in a shallow grave. Like, I really think it got like that for her, but I think that's the reason why she didn't pay, is because she didn't know if they were real or not. And I'd have to think that, she kind of feels that they were real, but again, that's just my speculation, but you make a valid point. If she truly thought they were real, why didn't she pay? Because we're hearing she didn't pay. Now, did she? And we just heard she didn't because it was fraudulent? I don't know.
You can find him at trmlabs.com. Ari, thank you for being with us. Many people believe that Bitcoin cannot be traced. And tonight we are learning the FBI believes that's their best lead on who took Miss Guthrie. Now, I think it's the video of the porch guy and the video of cars racing by, which is also in your wheelhouse.
Again, I don't think we have enough information about ransoms. I really don't. We've got enough we have enough prior ransom attempts that we know statistically how these ransom things go from the perspective of the criminal. This was defied. They didn't follow standard protocol in a ransom demand situation. So how are they saying? I mean, at the end of the day, let's think about this probably, right? And in probable circumstances. In probable circumstances, when you're ripping a person out of their bed, what are they going to be in? Pajamas. Is it that far-fetched? Is it that truly far-fetched that this person was, that the victim was in their pajamas? So it's even like the things that they're saying, pajamas and no shoes. Is it really that hard that somebody would have played the tape through and realized most likely they did not have the shoes on because they went in there and ripped the person out of their bed? They wouldn't have had time to put shoes on? Yeah, that's a real possibility. Could somebody figure that out on their own? In my opinion, yes. Somebody that plays the tape through and knows statistical how to figure this out could easily, somebody smart could easily make something appear different. What do we have here? Oh, Jackie, thank you. Did I see something come in from Lisa too? Jackie Goodson. Okay, thank you. I didn't want to miss anything, though. I seen two things pop up here, and I'm like, don't miss it. So it's nice to see you. I think she was conflicted, hopefully going on advice, etc. She might have been. SG didn't say anything bad about the sheriff or the police. SG. Savannah Guthrie. No, she didn't. But she did. When she was asked directly, she talked about the beat cops. She said nothing about the sheriff. She was talking because the sheriff hasn't done shit. Let's be honest. He's been at a basketball game and at the gym. He's not the one directly out here running this investigation, being hands-on, looking at this investigation, looking at reports. He's not doing any of that. So when she referred to law enforcement, I thought she did it very spectacularly. She said she knows that she wanted to thank the people working around the clock. I can tell you the people working around the clock is not Sheriff Nanos. It's not Sheriff Nanos. And she never addressed him, ever, in her statement. She only addressed the officers working her mother's case, which he is not. He's the sheriff. You would think he's running the case, but we all know he's had zero information factually accurate. And every time we asked him about questions, the FBI was just doing the job. He was completely checked out. He had no idea what the hell was going on in his own investigation. It was absolutely horrible. It was just unprofessional. He's just a joke. So we know that had it not been for the FBI, we would not be as far along in this case. Right now, if the FBI did not come on board, we would still be at square one where they think this woman walked off out of her house. Oops. Oopsie. Let's get it back up there. Oops, I just covered up something. Hold on. Let me fix this. You guys didn't see it. It didn't count.
Digital evidence, but let's address the ransom notes and the possibility, since everybody went radio silent on it, of tracing this Bitcoin request.
No, it's a great question. Look, and anytime, first of all, thank you for having me on, Nancy. Look, anytime that there's a cryptocurrency address involved in a case, it's an immediate lead. And what most people don't understand about cryptocurrency is every transaction occurs on a public blockchain, particularly Bitcoin, which is public, meaning every transaction is traceable, trackable, and immutable. Wow. In other words, it's there forever. In other words, crypto is the ultimate crime scene. You can go back in time. You know, what transactions have occurred prior to this day involving this cryptocurrency address? Has this address sent funds? Has it received funds? And ultimately, you track and trace those funds across blockchains using tools like TRM. Okay, you do know.
Wow, I got a lot more than I thought I did. So let's just go through these. I'm going to stop these. You guys are hearing about the blockchain, how public they are. This is some amazing information, but I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. So we've got TGIF, everyone. I hope everyone has a good day. Much love to BHB and everyone. Prayers and love to the E's. The E's still need prayers. Thank you for that. Why is this thing not moving? Hold on. There we go. Sorry, it froze up for me just a second. It's still, I don't know what's going on here. Okay, give me just a second. We're gonna have it's about to crash my system, so I am going not to get it to crash my system. We're just going to exit out and we're going to refresh. So give me just a second. I'm not refreshing this, but I had something sticky on the back end and it killed our I think it's going to, I think my whole Gmail, or I think the whole thing.
That you're speaking.
Okay, good. It's just this one over here. Okay. Let me refresh this. There we go. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. It's booting up right now. Okay. For whatever reason, it just really jacked up my system. So give me just a second while I refix this. There we go. There we go. Sorry about that. It just jammed up on me. It wouldn't let me show these things for some reason. And then when I went to the next one, it wouldn't let me pop up the next one. Here it is. So, Lord Christ, on this Good Friday, I remember your holy cross and the love you showed and giving your life for us. Thank you so much for that. We did read this one. This one's a little funny. There's a woman on the TLC show who sells jars of her toots/farts for $50 a jar. Gas prices and what is normal. We have Lisa. Did Nancy have dirt on... Here's the one I thought. Okay, so I did get this one. Did Nancy have dirt on someone? Political Nanos had a deputy unalived under an investigation of FBI alleged self-harm, not investigated properly. I'm interested in that. I've already talked to you about that. Sonia gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. Thank you for that. Jean, thank you so much for that. Veronica, I think I did get everybody. Okay, Veronica gifted. Miss Potato, Melanie, thank you for all the people that just came aboard this morning. And then we got the PI is Nico Tusconi. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. And it's We Are the Essentials. And then Jackie, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I got everybody. Thank you guys. You guys are really sweet this morning. I feel the love. Thanks so much. Okay, so now we're getting back to the blockchain of these Bitcoins. So we're learning right now from Nancy Grace and this expert in the field of Bitcoin that all of these transactions are publicly viewable, which is a little crazy. You just don't know who they go to. Let's go back just 10 seconds.
You track and trace those funds across blockchains using tools like TRM.
Okay, you do know that you're speaking to a trial lawyer. You need to explain what you're saying. When you're referring to blockchain analysis, Bitcoin transactions, if you look at them, in the U.S. anyway, they are recorded. It's almost like a Google Doc where everybody's adding stuff in, and they are in blocks. It looks like blocks where each entry is made. Think of a spreadsheet and blocks of information. Okay, we typically write in paragraphs. It looks like a block. And then you follow the chain. That's where they get the phraseology, blockchain analysis. Now, slow it down, Ari, and explain again very slowly how the feds can do this. And this is what they're doing right now, according to reports.
So what we do at TRM is we take that raw blockchain data that you're describing, that alphanumeric address, say, for example, that would be in a ransom note, and we layer it with threat intelligence. We have a team of threat hunters.
Okay, Ari, right there. You mean like the number at the bottom of your check? That. It's every Bitcoin account has an identifiable number. Like we have a social security number. It's got an identifiable number like a checking account. Is that right?
That is correct. It's a string.
Dummy down, man. Dummy down for me. Now, start over, please.
Yeah, it's the problem with smart people. They forget, they know what they're talking about, but they forget that the people that they're talking to have no idea. And so he's talking about an account, and you would think that, but sometimes you need people to understand what type of account. Like on the bottom of your checking account, that number there, that routing number and that bank account number, it's similar to that with this blockchain analysis.
Absolutely. Yeah. So look, every cryptocurrency address is a unique string of letters and numbers. And what we do is we associate those numbers with threat actors. Think terrorist financiers, sanctions, ransomware actors. And that allows law enforcement to track and trace the flow of funds to build investigation.
So you guys are understanding this, right? It's numbers. It's numbers and letters. So yes, they can trace it, but they don't know who they're tracing. They can trace the money, they can trace the account, and then she's going to explain how do they finally get to who it belongs to, right? And it's very interesting how you ultimately find out, but as long as it's kept like this, just in this numbered account, and you're not trying to access the funds, that account will keep building and they'll never know who you are. But the problem is that's never the case. People need access to that money. And then therefore, you have to go to an exchange to get access to that money. And that's where the magic happens, is at the exchange. When you need to withdraw that money, when you need to convert that Bitcoin to whatever currency you're in, whether you're in China, whether you're in Guatemala, whether you're in the United States, you need to convert You need to exchange Bitcoin into cash. And so it's at these exchanges where the real magic happens.
Prosecutions to ultimately seize back those illicit proceeds.
There has been a high level of success by the feds, by the FBI, by the IRS. You know, they're about 3 inches up everybody's tailpipe on Bitcoin. Every transaction is recorded on a blockchain. As Ariz just said, Bitcoin wallets have an address and they can be watched by law enforcement. Then the tricky time is when the perp tries to cash it in. But right now, we're not at that point because I don't believe that ransom was ever paid.
And that comes back to that original question that we had just had in our chat a little bit earlier in the show, where somebody asked if Savannah Guthrie truly thought that these ransom notes were legitimate. Why did she not pay the ransom? Now, that is going to be up for debate and topic. I personally think the whole ransom's so far-fetched. It's made for movies, but it just, in reality, it's so stinking rare. If it ends up being a ransom, I'm going to be shocked. But I truly believe we're dealing with something else here. I'm perfectly fine being wrong. You know, I'm perfectly fine being proven wrong. But I really, really, really believe that there's some, I think a lot of people, let me ask you guys, let me just show by ones and two. No, actually just show by hands. I mean, thumbs up or thumbs down or just hands, just wave hands. Do you think that this is a ransom? Does anybody in my chat believe this is a ransom? Well, I guess we'll do 1 and 2. If you believe this is a ransom, do a 1. If you do not believe this is a ransom, do a 2. Ransom, yes, 1. No ransom, 2. Yes, ransom, 1. No ransom, 2. I think I want to find out where my audience is on this. Do you guys believe this is a ransom? Oh, thank you, Julie. Welcome. So 1 is yes, 2 is no. So we got a lot of 2s. Few 1s. I wonder if I should put this in a poll so we know what our percentages are, because this is unsure. Thank you, John. We appreciate that. Yes, ransom 1, no ransom 2. It looks like we have a lot more 2s than we do 1s, but there are a few people that still believe this is a ransom. But we have far more people that do not believe this is a ransom. So we do have a mixed bag. I think we have the majority. You guys want a poll? Okay, let's do a poll. Let's do a poll and find out what our percentages are. Hold on here. Do you believe this is a ransom? Yes, no. Very simple. You know what? Since we already had another person, we'll put unsure because we know somebody had unsure here. So I want to make sure we get all. So, do you believe this is a ransom? Okay, there we go. Let's find out the percentages of the chat. So, guys, we just put a poll out. Can you guys answer the poll, please? I'm not sure if it's going to make you be even if you're not a subscriber of this channel, I think you might be able to do the poll. All right, we're getting some people. Okay, we already have 54 votes. So let's just we'll let this run for just a few moments and then but if you guys can answer it sooner than later, okay? Because I want to see it. Looks like All right, so we got a good hand of people taking the poll right now. if you are just coming in right now, we're going over this case. And we're at the point where we're having some discussions about the ransom. And I just don't know why. And it might be my own bias. And I'm sorry about that. And I'm at least honest with you, but I'm just not, it's hard for me to engage with this whole ransom because I just don't believe it. I think it's so far-fetched for me. So I decided to ask my audience because, I could be wrong. So I thought maybe if I asked my audience, maybe we would be able to decipher, what the audience truly believes related to this case, whether we have a ransom or not. We're at 106 votes right now. So let's get that up to, I think we have a good idea of our audience. It looks like the majority of our audience, and that's where I was trying to find out. It looks like the majority of our audience does not believe in the ransom theory. We do have, about 20% or so that do believe. So we have about an 80-20, well, not quite an 80-20. We have an unsure percentages as well. So we do have some people that are just unsure. But related to the yes and no's, the people that do believe or don't believe this is a ransom, it looks like the majority do not believe in the ransom theory. So of our audience, I can honestly say the majority, it appears, do not believe in the ransom theory. So we're going to go ahead. I'll wait until it gets up to 120. We'll end the poll there. I think that's good enough for the purposes that we needed it to be. We're going to go ahead and stop it. So it's about an 80-20. Not quite, but about an 80-20 with who believes what with this. So that was it was good. I liked seeing that percentage. So we still have a good portion of our folks that believe in the ransom theory. And I don't want to take that away from you. I'm having a mental, hurdle getting over the threshold of the ransom. And I think a lot of it has to do with I've never dealt with a ransom before. It is so low on the totem pole of possibilities. It's almost as low as the stranger danger abduction statistics of children. Very rarely do we have a stranger danger abduction. We thought it was stranger danger because back in the day, we couldn't grasp around our heads around that parents could hurt children. So for many years, when children were found deceased, nobody ever looked at the parents. They looked at third parties. Well, we got wise over the years and realized that parents can do terrible things to children, and what goes on behind closed doors, none of us really know about. And when we started applying that, we started throwing parents in jail for homicide. We started, and it started, Susan Smith was a prime example of when we started realizing just how detrimental parents can be. Why people act the way they do and think the way they do, we'll never understand that. But we can keep records and start applying statistics of what we know, statistics of large numbers. Out of all these people, this is what the probabilities of this type of case being is going to end up. And we're all saying that this, cases like this, 9 times out of 10 end up being with somebody known to an inside person being involved in this. And that's what this, statistics tell us. Now, if this is a stranger danger, what brought this person to their front door? And people are, well, maybe it's the notoriety of Savannah Guthrie. And yeah, I see that, but she's not, she's famous, but she's not really that famous. She's got 1.5 million followers on Instagram. She probably has more now. She's probably up in the millions because of this case here. I know when I first got with her, she was about 1.5 million subscribers on her Instagram account. That's the same thing as Brooke Harlem in Nashville, the Bonds lady. You see what I'm saying? So it's like I'm not sure if she's the richest person that they could have targeted in that area. That's all I'm saying. And it's just it's rough trying to grasp my head around it. Okay, you guys get it. We got our poll.
Straight out to Chris McDonough joining us.
Chris McDonough,
veteran homicide detective, over 300 homicides under his belt. He is the star of The Interview Room on YouTube, and he also is the director of the Cold Case Foundation. Chris, thank you for being with us. You immediately flagged a lot of problems with the ransom note. That doesn't mean it's not legitimate. Explain.
Well, the ransom note in of itself gives us a little insight into the behavioral aspects of what the suspect may be, trying to pull off here. And if you think about it, just what Ariz said there, to use Bitcoin as a hook into the victim, well, automatically that's just like saying, hey, I'm over here, come get me. Now, there are some sophistications, obviously, that are out of my league that Ariz could talk about, but it just doesn't make sense that immediately this Bitcoin becomes, the talking point here for this case. And we have that with that guy in Hawthorne, California, who was arrested, Derek Carrillo. So it's a red flag, in my opinion.
Well, I don't think them asking for Bitcoin was a red flag. If you will recall, Savannah Guthrie took it seriously enough to say, I will pay.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Ariz Redboard joining us from TRM Labs. Ariz, first of all, there was a delay in the demand for money, Bitcoin. That's a problem. Every kidnapping for ransom, you hear immediately, give me money, and you get proof of life. Number one, there was a delay. Number two, from what we understand, there was never proof of life.
That is important. This is where I think I reside in at least the majority, about 80% of our audience resides. So that first part, I think, was more for the 20% of the audience. This is where the majority of us are kind of residing. We're saying, wait a minute, this doesn't bode with like the standard operating procedures, the SOP of ransoms. And so it's throwing me for a loop. So perfect question, perfect setup right after our poll. So let's listen to this. I think this is good information.
Number three, going through a news outlet as opposed to directly to the family. That's also unusual, but not unheard of that you don't go directly to the family. Those three red flags were a problem. That doesn't mean Savannah's wrong. I think she, of all of us, knows what's going on in the investigation. So tell me tonight, right now, Ariz, who would be on the team tracing the Bitcoin address? In other words, tracing the ransomer? That's why I care about the Bitcoin address, because that's going to lead me to the perp. Who's doing it? What kind of people are on this team, this FBI Bitcoin team?
It's a great question. It's called the Virtual Asset Unit within the FBI. And there's a team of crypto tracers, and they're the best in the world. They've built investigations involving ransomware and North Korea hacks and terrorist financing. And what they're doing is they're using TRM to...
Let's listen to that again.
It's a great question. It's called the Virtual Asset Unit within the FBI. And there's a team of crypto tracers, and they're the best in the world. They've built investigations involving ransomware and North Korea hacks and terrorist financing. And what they're doing is they're using TRM to track and trace the flow of funds to ultimately identify that individual. The problem is, and you mentioned this, is that it really needs a payment. A transaction must occur in order to start that tracing and tracking. Because ultimately what you want at the end of the day are those funds to be cashed out at a cryptocurrency exchange.
And this is where I kind of come back down around what I was talking about. That's where the magic happens, because if you have millions and billions of dollars sitting in an account, all the FBI can see is that account number and that this account holds billions and billions of dollars. It even hundreds of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, whatever, or $5 for that matter. But they can see that this account, they know that there's an account. They know that this account exists. They know that this account not only exists, but has XYZ funds in it. The problem is that account number is not identified by a human being. So the only way that account number is going to be identified by a human being, like Bullhorn Betty, Like, this is Bullhorn Betty's crypto account. I would like a 61 million crypto account if somebody wants to donate me one. I'm perfectly happy in taking it. I'll take your $66 million. But let's just say that Bullhorn Betty has this money sitting in a bank account somewhere, that I'm like this pimp daddy, content creator that's, stealing money and ganking grandmas. I don't know. And I got a pot of cash sitting in a crypto account somewhere. They can see that this crypto account has that money in it, and they can see that this money was gotten by ill-gotten means, but they can't identify who I am because all they've got is a number. Now, I'm jammed up, and I need that money, right? I want to go buy myself a Corvette. I want to be a Chris Nanos, and I want to tear those roads up, right? So I need to bust out about 75 or 100K, and I need to go buy me a Corvette. So me and Chris Nanos, Sheriff Chris Nanos, can drag race in the middle of the road like he likes to do by himself, right? And so now I got to go exchange that money, because that money is in this virtual currency. That virtual currency has to be, exchanged into real hard cold dollars, right? I need to be able to turn it into USDA currency to go out and buy the Corvette so I can drag race Sheriff Chris Nanos. And so when I go to that exchange, guess what I got to do? I got to open up an exchange account. And guess what's required for that exchange account? My personal information. And once I give that personal information and I go and grab my 100K out, they got me. They know who I am. Now, I might have a Corvette, and I might be able to drag race Sheriff Chris Nanos, but my drag racing days are officially numbered, right? I might get it into second gear before they bring the helicopters and swoop me and my Corvette up off the road and take me to jail. They're going to take my Corvette, of course, because I'm going to have a stylish Corvette. My Corvette's going to beat Chris Nanos' Corvette's butt. I'm just letting you know. He ain't got nothing on the Bet's foot. I got a lead foot. Like, what? We won't tell anybody that. That's our secret. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Because when they hit that exchange, that's when you can get that underlying user information. Who owns that account? Because that exchange would have done the know your customer, right? When you open that account on a crypto exchange, it's like opening a bank account. And that's when you can really connect the dots. So crypto tracing is very powerful, but you have to have the movement of funds in order to really build an investigation.
So there you go, guys. If you want to know about the cryptocurrency, because I know we're all ignorant about cryptocurrency, I have no earthly idea. But cryptocurrency, it appears, it's very, very confidential. You can hide everything from the government. You can hide yourself from the government until that point of no return, where it's like, hey, you need your money. And when you need your money, guess what? You FA'd? Now it's time for the FO. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. All right, so this case has obviously, we've been discussing since the beginning of the show about the issues and the problems that are in the case, that have been bred by Chris Nanos, including this whole ransom theory. Remember, Chris Nanos was no part of this ransom theory. Chris Nanos had nothing to do with it. This was all the Guthrie family and the FBI doing this. He actually said, no, they did not do this, and they did not do that. And it's like, here's the photos of the FBI's going into their house with a camera. What do you mean they didn't help them? So obviously Chris Nanos was on the out of his own investigation, and it was probably pretty embarrassing, but he was too busy going to basketball games in the gym to give a shit. So I guess that's kind of par for the course. But either way, we found out that this case has been littered with incompetence from the very beginning.
Let's bring in Ray Carr, retired FBI special agent. Ray, what do you make of, this is a person who is speaking anonymously, who says that the team leader investigating this had no homicide experience.
What this suggests to me is an investigation such as this, when you have a serious experience gap in cases like this, it really can matter a great deal. Like Brian said, the first 24 to 48 hours are very, very important. That's when your evidence is the freshest, your witnesses are the most reliable, and the investigators are working on a solid timeline. And when you have that inexperience of these type of investigators, they're going to miss critical evidence, they're going to overlook inconsistencies, and they're just going to miss things all the way through. They're not going to be able to figure this out, and it's going to weaken, and the case is going to fall apart on them before it even begins.
What about the fact that initially they didn't think it was a homicide? I mean, at the very initial moments, they thought it was maybe an elderly person who had wandered away. Then there was possible, speculation right away that it might be for a kidnapping. That was within 24 hours, I believe, or at least early enough on that in other words, if they didn't show up on the scene thinking we have a homicide, could that be an explanation for why they didn't assemble an experienced homicide unit?
When you have homicide investigators that are seasoned, they move very fast, but they're very methodical. They know how to secure a scene, document a scene. They know how to find things and see things that other people don't see. Mm-hmm. They know how to talk to alibis and witnesses, and if someone's story doesn't make sense, they know how to call that out, and they also know how to keep things focused.
Which this has been not in focus for a while. I mean, the whole world's calling this. I've never heard the coin bipolar case. It's a first for us, but it definitely describes this case to a T.
What you have here is the lack of experience. You have a mistake that's made, and the first mistake you make is usually the most costly.
Well, we did see that they, after several days of processing the house, they removed the crime scene tape and anybody could walk up to the front door. And then a couple days later, they put the crime scene tape back up. So they secured the scene, unsecured the scene, and then secured the scene, which even before this reporting of Brian Enton's in Tucson today, there was a lot of question about what's going on with this investigation and these decisions.
And on my time on the job, I've never seen that happen. So again, that just goes to show you that the lack of experience at the top here is really affecting this investigation as it moves forward. And
it's affecting the investigation in its totality. All of the delays that we had is why we're here. Why do we not have a suspect identified? Is because they wouldn't get out of their own way. They were already determining what was going on in the case. I tell you, this is what annoys the shit out of me about law enforcement. And this is a problem across the board. This is not just in Pima County, because we've talked about it before. Them prejudging a case. Them not collecting they're investigators, but they are not the labs. They do not have the authority or the wherewithal to decide what is evidence and what is not evidence. They should be collecting everything. And as far as all that blood, think about it. Whenever there's blood, what have we had investigators do before? They take the whole damn slab of concrete. None of that was done here. None of it. None of it. This woman was railroaded. But railroaded by incompetence and politics. And she lost her life because of it. I guarantee that. I'm angry about that.
The people that are really suffering are the Guthrie family.
Yeah, they really are. They deserve answers. God knows we hope they get them soon and that precious evidence and leads have not been irrevocably lost in all of this. Ray Carr, great to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, and then lastly, this is going to be the last little bit of the clips that we're going to have. This is Brian Enton. This is Katie Pavlich, and they just have some good details. Again, just more. It really just encompasses why we are here. We're here because of lack of leadership, lack of expertise, arrogance. We should be so much further along in this case, and everybody knows it. The only person that's denying it is Chris Nanos, but he also let an elderly lady expire under his watch, and that's something he's going to have to deal with. But I don't think he cares, because yes, he does have a Corvette. He shoots around his own public traffic. He will get in a turn lane to get around a car. It is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen an officer do. And I'm going to tell you something, Chris Nanos, and I hope you are watching. And if you're not, I hope somebody clips this and sends this to you. If you kill somebody in that car, you will have me so far up your ass, you'll be bubbling BHB in that jail cell. Bubbling. BHB. He's a piece of crap. That's what he is.
On the search for Nancy Guthrie. It's been over 2 months since she went missing, and despite all the national attention, we still have no idea what happened to her or where she might be. And as more time passes, there's more backlash against Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. News Nation just sat down with a source close to the investigation to get a clearer look at how the case was being handled or mishandled from the start. And what we found out truly shocked and saddened us. And it also explains a great deal as to why the effort to bring Nancy home has moved so slowly. We here at News Nation have gone to great lengths to keep the source's identity a secret. They will appear on your screen in shadow, and we've disguised their voice. The voice can be a little hard to listen to, so follow along with the captions on your screen, and trust me, it will be worth it. Here's News Nation senior national correspondent Brian Enton's interview exclusively.
What would you say are the biggest mistakes when it comes to the Nancy Guthrie investigation, from what you know?
Speaking with some people that actually know the intimate knowledge of this investigation have told me that there was an immediate rush to judgment on what was happening at that scene, and it was that Nancy had somehow wandered off.
So again, wandered off. That was their going theory. They have blood at a front door. Gates opened with flower pots. Back doors opened with flower pots. A camera ripped off and nowhere to be found. And their initial rush to judgment was this feeble lady wandered off. This is what's wrong with law enforcement. This is not unique to Pima County. This is what happened in Sumner County with Sebastian Rogers. This exact thing where they rushed to judgment to think this boy wandered off instead of his mommy killed him. And we're here 2.5 years later, and a child's still missing. Mommy still gets to sleep at home and stuff her face and drink alcohol and pop gummies and get high and all that stuff while nobody knows where her son is. She gets to live her best freaking life, and it's because of the mistakes that happened in the beginning of the case, much like this. In this case here, you see that broom knocked over. You've got cans knocked over. Something appears to have happened in this garage. But what? We don't know. Again, rush to judgment. Big problem in this case from the very beginning. And this is how I know the family had to argue with law enforcement to let them know their mother is not dementia, doesn't have dementia, and didn't wander off from her freaking home. They had a fight with law enforcement. Why? Because law enforcement knows better than us, at least the ones in Pima County that are uneducated and incompetent. And I know that they don't like me saying that, especially the ones that are working. But you guys got to understand you need better training. Okay, period. This was a faceplant for your department, and you guys can be mad at people pointing it out, or you can do better. I hope that each and every one of you choose to do better.
Rushed to that judgment, stayed with that judgment, and then ran the investigation as if this was a search and rescue issue, opposed to a possible criminal issue.
From what you know, were the initial people...
And why does that matter? Because it matters from whether you turn something into a crime scene or allow people to what? Trample the crime scene. So when you're in a search and rescue, what are you doing? Trampling the crime scene.
People who responded and experienced?
From what I understand, the people that were there on the scene were not 10-year homicide detectives. They didn't have a lot of experience in homicide at that point, to include the supervisor, who, from my understanding, never investigated a homicide before being installed as the supervisor for the homicide unit.
So the supervisor who first responded to Nancy Guthrie's house had never investigated a homicide?
Correct.
How is that possible?
Well, so you have decisions made by people that will install friends and people that can do stuff for them, opposed to people that are there on their merit and can do the job correctly.
So you guys are hearing this. Okay, so this is what you call cronyism. Okay? If you don't know what cronyism is, it's when you hire your friends, when you give the jobs to your friends. It's cronyism. Okay? It's corruption. It's corruption. And so this whole entire department is littered with this cronyism and corruption. And all the good officers that didn't want to get down like 4 flat tires to the cronyism and corruption left the department. And so when they left the department, they have no seasoned agents there, or very limited seasoned agents there. So that is the beginning of all of the problems here on this case to even start out, before she even went missing. And now we're taking all of this bull crap, and now we have a missing and a high profile case, and now everything is coming to fruition. The tip of the eye. When we started seeing some of the stuff on the scene, we didn't realize at the time this was only the tip of the iceberg. We had no idea the chunk of ice that laid under the water. But this has been very detrimental to that entire department and Chris Nanos personally. And a lot of bad things were uncovered as a result of this lady. And I'm sorry she had to lose her life for this stuff to come to a head. But it's here. And now it's so big they can't not address it. Hey, Big Mac Mike. It's nice to see you, Love Bug. I hope you're doing well.
Do you think not enough evidence was collected?
The fact that detectives had to return to that location not once but several times leads me to believe that they should have handled it differently. They should have kept the scene secure.
Do you get the sense right now that there's anyone that they're seriously looking at?
The people I've talked to that are still in the know on this investigation tell me that there's no direct suspect right now. No name on the table.
Okay. So if you guys want to watch the rest of that, please do. That was from News Nation and Brian Enton's reporting. There it is. I think we covered everything that I needed to cover for this show with that. Guys, this was a very interesting show where we covered a lot of different situations. At the beginning, we decided to give you guys a little insight on our gas. We know that the gas is going through the roof, and while it's not true crime, it is something that's affecting all of us. So I decided to give you guys a little tidbit on what to expect here in the near future. We went through, I looked at the stock market. I looked at a few different things to try to give us an idea of what we're dealing with here. And it's not showing a very good, outsight, but I looked at the president's post, and it doesn't appear that we're going to be in Iran very much longer. It looks like we're going to be starting an exit strategy soon. So once that exit strategy is realized and we start pulling back resources, because we did what we needed to do there, we're going to start seeing some relief in at the gas pumps. But until that point, we're going to have to kind of grin and bear it. But there is an insight in mind. This will not be like this for 1 or 2 or 3 years. This will start rapidly going down just as rapidly as it went up. And we also talked about 37 children in the state of California were rescued. 7 individuals were arrested for various charges, including trafficking. So it's a great day for Californians. You guys have something to be proud of today. 37 children, underage kids, were saved and are now getting the treatment that they need. Many of them were runaways, but no matter how you look at it, they were all very much vulnerable, and they are now going to have a second lease at life. And I hope that they get the resources they need to improve their life, improve their education, and get them prepared for real life and real jobs, and leave this part of their life behind them. Anybody that's had a very hard walk knows that at some point there's got to be a time when you cut off your past so you can see your future. And I hope those girls are able, or the children. They didn't specify girls or boys. Hey, J.E., it's nice to see you, love. They didn't specify girls or boys, so we have to remember there's a market for both, and it's absolutely detrimental what they do to these disadvantaged children and how they strip them of knowing what those acts are for and stuff like that, the acts of love and stuff like that. It just distorts it for the rest of their life. And it's truly sad. It's truly sad. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope we gave you guys some things to talk about, some things to ponder. If you have made it this far and you're on the replay crew, please consider hitting the thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. But more importantly, if you're on the replay crew, consider hyping this show. We really appreciate all of you. We really appreciate all of your insight, input, and more importantly, your financial support. We do appreciate it. But for those that can't support us financially but want to help us grow, the best way you can do that is hyping and liking, and we appreciate every single one of you. So please come back later today. We will be doing another live later this afternoon, I believe around 3 or 4, and we'll go over any updated information from there if I have any more information. And I know that you guys we are political over here as well. You're probably shocked. Some of you are shocked. Some of you are not shocked that Pam Bondi is no longer going to be our AG. I can honestly say, you guys know how I feel about it. I was not a Pam Bondi fan. I was not a Pam Bondi fan when she worked for the state of Florida. I felt like she killed a lot of people here with her tough on crime approach to the pill mills. She shut the pill mills down, but she never opened up resources for people to go. You know, the addict is still going to be an addict just because you take the drug away from them. They will find a way to get high. And it was very upsetting because all these people that were addicted to medication ended up going to H and they lost their life. We were the epicenter here in Manatee County. A lot of people you didn't even know were on the stuff ended up losing their life because of the poison they were pumping now into their veins. And so I had always had a distaste in my mouth for Pam Bondi. I hear she's going into the private sector. I think that's a great place for her. I don't know who our AG will ultimately be by the time everything's said and done, but I'm hoping that we finally start putting some of these bastards in jail. There's people in this country, right and left and right up down the middle, that need to be put in jail for what they have done. The crimes against people, the crimes against children, the crimes against our country. We need to start cleaning house for all of us. All of us deserve better, and we deserve not to be robbed blind. And the people that need help from the taxpayers, they should be getting it, and they shouldn't have their the stuff that's meant for them to benefit them and help them robbed. Because the people, we're getting screwed, the taxpayer's getting screwed, but think about the person that's receiving those benefits. They're getting screwed too because they're getting less benefits because somebody's stealing all their benefits. So, there's everybody that has a vested interest, whether you're a taxpayer or a beneficiary of the taxpayer, we're all in the same boat because our shit is getting robbed from us. So we need people in jail, period. Okay? People have got to go to jail for what they are doing. They are disadvantaging already people that are disadvantaged. And that is not, there's no way in hell we're getting behind that. So we've got a lot of work in this country to do, but I'm not going to beat the drum beat on that. That's why we have a political channel that we haven't gone on in a while, but we might decide to start going back over there and talking about some of these very, very much deep issues that we have in our country. Anyways, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. And we'll see you soon. God bless.